Welcome back to Sailing Jibsea, where we're picking up on day 6 of our bold, no messing around shakedown sail, taking Jibsea 2 from down south in Panama up to the United States in the height of hurricane season. Last episode in part 1, we battled through uncomfortable choppy waters and seasickness for the first few days, but then finally hit our stride. With full sails up, Jibsea 2 was truly in her element, carving through the water like she was built for. As quickly as the wind came to fill our sails, it dies down, leaving us floating with the inability to sail. As luck would have it, we encounter problems when we need our engine the most. We made some good ground the first 5 days, and we've still got some significant miles to cover as we continue our journey across the open waters of the Caribbean Sea. Welcome to day 6.
You can't get better sailing than this right now. This is epic. We are in a lake. These are lake conditions. Doing 6.5 knots. And I love looking at 3 sails flying. Head sail, stay sail, main sail. Looks so awesome. We're gonna try to set this thing up. The thing as in the code 0. So this is the sheet, and I gotta go and get the continuous screw.
A code 0 is a large asymmetrical sail, which is ideal for when the wind is too light for a genoa and for reaching and light wind sailing.
Okay, well, there's no wind, but still, whatever. It's locked.
Put your in. That's it.
That's it. Huge winch. This is the biggest winch yet, eh?
Yeah. You gotta take in the big sail. It's a big sail, eh? I need to fine tune a lot of things, but at least we got it up and we're gonna check it out. I'm gonna go for it. I'm gonna see if I can slide in the head sail between the stay sail and the code 0. Find the shadow a bit. Maybe we gotta go off the wind a little bit. I don't know if you can see it, but doesn't quite work. Maybe a little bit more wind. 1, 2, 3, 4 sails. Crazy.
Can you believe we had enough power to turn the air fryer on today for 20 minutes? Whip ourselves up some poutine and chicken fingers? I'm so hot right now, but it's gonna be glorious.
That looks good.
I feel like it's gonna be not enough, but it's all the fries we got. It's yours. We had to separate plates, so we didn't fight over, portions.
Thank you.
Being out at sea for days or even weeks, being surrounded by only open water can be exhilarating. However, it does come with its own set of challenges, especially when getting to know a new boat like we are or navigating open waters. Much like sailing, life can sometimes feel overwhelming, and that's why having support when you need it is so important. And today, I want to introduce you to a resource that can help. Today's sponsor, BetterHelp. BetterHelp is the sponsor of this week's video, and they're on a mission to make starting therapy easier. It's a platform where therapists and their clients can communicate effectively to get the most out of therapy, which isn't just for those with clinical mental health issues. It's a tool for anyone interested in personal growth, techniques to manage emotions, and to reduce stress. With BetterHelp, you can gain insight into yourself, develop healthier habits, and learn effective ways to cope with challenges in a safe, non-judgmental space. Starting therapy is straightforward with BetterHelp. Simply fill out a questionnaire and you'll be matched with the therapist in as little as a couple of days. One of the best features of BetterHelp is that the first therapist doesn't quite feel like the right fit. You can easily switch to another one until you find someone who you really connect with. If you're struggling and think you benefit from a therapy session, click the link in the description or go to betterhelp.com/Jibsea and get 10% off your first month of therapy. As the remainder of day 6 went on, we sailed for as long as we could until the wind pretty much disappeared. Then we had to switch to motor sailing. On the bright side, the calm seas gave us the perfect chance to get creative in the galley. With everything steady, we cranked up the heat and cooked up something a little fancier for dinner. enjoying the smooth ride and delicious meal as the sun dipped below the horizon. It's about 5 in the morning and we've been motoring overnight. Not at really high RPMs, but Travis just revved up and then he heard a funny sound. And it looks like we've blown through one of the alternator belts, which is vacuuming it all up.
Like it's still going, but it's
like getting chewed up.
Yeah, it's getting chewed up and it's like now stretched like crazy.
Hopefully you can't hear the fan noise behind me because it's about 1,000 degrees in here with the engine door open. One spare, so hopefully it's the right spare. You gonna tighten up the belt?
Yeah, we're gonna tighten up and hopefully not have to put on the other one.
Save it?
Yeah.
Well, it's chewed it up, but like not enough.
Hasn't broken it, it's just stretched it, so it's like it's getting to be thin though.
All that black stuff you were vacuuming are the bits that it sheared off.
Yeah, it's just getting eaten up.
So you caught it early enough, I suppose.
Yeah, that we still have it. Because when it's loose, it wiggles and it does all sorts of shit. Obviously that's too loose. And it's gone way down there. Should be sitting almost on top. Let's tighten this up. Just tightened this belt up, and it's a matter of moments, I guess, before it's gonna just go. So we can try to put on the other one, but I don't know why it's chewing through the belt. That's a bigger concern because we got like 4 days of motoring. That wouldn't be good. Well, I guess I'll put this other one on and hope for the best.
That's the spare belt?
So the problem is, it doesn't look like the alternator is aligned.
We don't have any sails up, but there was no wind to be even motor sailing. We were just straight motoring. And now that we're stopped, the swell is kind of starting to sway us. Sun's come out now. I'm just floating along. Feel the heat instantly. It's so hot now.
Yeah. Well, transducer worked. So
How?
something else.
How did it work now?
No, like it spins, so it's just not working.
Yeah, because I cleaned that.
The alternator is misaligned, so it's just gonna chew off the next belt I put on it. And after pulling it all apart this morning, I noticed whatever wing nut put on the alternator belt on the bracket side, the lower portion of the alternator, put on the wrong nut. And you could tell that that's probably happened multiple times where that bolt's loosened off and the alternator's wiggled, worked away the metal in there, and then fried the belt. And then they just try to tighten it up again, put a new belt on, and that's probably what this motor's been going through for, it looks like, a little while. Mind-blowing that someone doesn't do further investigation on why that was happening. Besides, throw another belt on and tighten it up. Right now I've got it totally jimmy rigged and I have it tied down to like get the alternator as best aligned as I could, because I can't just tighten the bolt down because it doesn't tighten. It really helps to know every bolt on your boat, because on Jibsea, number one, if something happened like that, I'd know. I'd be like, okay, what bolt would this come from? And sometimes I did that a lot, where I'd rob Peter to pay Paul for the time being to get us to where we needed to. And being on this boat, I don't have all my tools, can't even just make the bolt. Like with a tap and die set, I could have cut some aluminum and made the bolt myself. Can't do that. And just trying to go through the whole boat in my head of like, okay, where would this size of a bolt be? I just didn't know. Just luckily was lying down on the back deck here and looked back at our wind vane, and we're not using it, and I said, that looks very similar in size. So I pulled off the nut, and luckily it screws onto the alternator, but I don't want to touch it right now. I just kind of put it on over top of the other bolt. Well, what I did was tighten the bolt on the alternator as tight as I could and then vice gripped it so it wouldn't back off. Don't want to touch it right now because it's working and it doesn't seem like we're getting any alternator dust right now. I keep cleaning the area that I think might accumulate dust just to make sure that we're not getting any dust there. We're going to be rounding Cuba here soon, and that's a very, very high shipping traffic area. And already I think today I've seen 11 boats since this morning, 11 tankers, and we're not even where it conjoins because there's a traffic separation zone there. I barely slept last night, but now tonight I'm definitely not going to be sleeping because I'll be worried about tankers, worried about our alternator because I keep going down and checking on it like every hour because we have no wind for 2 or 3 days, so we need to motor. I feel like I need to adjust the belt again. It's come loose a little bit and it seems like it's not burning off any belt yet, like I'm not getting the dust accumulated anywhere, but it's how I've jimmy rigged it to sort of align it that I don't really want to touch it. I've got this real tight and it's pulling the alternator back just a little bit to straighten it, but the biggest problem is the nut down here was the wrong nut, and it probably worked its way loose over multiple times because now the backside of the engine right here is rounded and this spacer washer here is all mangled. So when we get to Fort Lauderdale, I got to find a new spacer and I'm going to make that all so it's all nice and plumb and square again. But we need this belt to last us till we get there, and we're still 300 or so nautical miles away. And there's not a lot of wind in our forecast, so might have to motor most of that. But luckily we now just picked up the Gulf Stream slightly. We're not fully in it, but that's definitely going to help us get closer to our destination. But yeah, do I mess with this or not? I probably should.
We are sailing again.
We're sailing again.
Finally.
It's like, what, 30 hours of motoring?
Too long.
Which is a rad combination. Doing 8+ knots at the moment. As long as the wind stays in front of the beam, life is great. We're trying to stay above 8 because it means then we'll get to Fort Lauderdale during some daylight hours, which would be fantastic. Ideal. Perfect sailing again. Every time we've had to sail, it's just been fantastic. Very calm, no sea state. Just comfortable. Steph's making some breakfast. And yeah, that's life aboard right now. Obviously the Gulf Stream is a big help in that, but that's still so cool, so fast. We're ripping!
The remainder of our passage was a juggling act, trying to strike a balance between not motoring too much, but also not wanting to lose speed as we were racing against some bad weather creeping up in the area.
Intact, expect wind gusts in excess of 34 knots, suddenly high waves, frequent lightning, and heavy downpours. Strong thunderstorms will remain over mainly open waters in the distant straits of Florida.
We're like 100 nautical miles out, but the alternator seems to be getting a little bit wobbly. So just got to make some adjustments to...
Yeah, just gotta tighten it up slightly, but not enough to put a ton of pressure on it. Oh, nothing like a hot alternator to work with. If anyone knows how hot an alternator gets.
It's like 35 degrees in here too, on its own. So.
Yeah. Oh, just give me a little bit. Seriously, like burn your fingers hot.
Yeah, I can feel it radiating.
We kept a close eye on how much dust was accumulating, keeping in mind that we knew we had to use the engine once in Fort Lauderdale, navigating through the waterway, waiting for bridges, and getting ourselves anchored. It was home stretch of this big sail, and wild to see land and the city lights after all those days. Only a few hours from pulling into port, we could feel the excitement starting to build. It was a mix of relief and anticipation, knowing we were so close. We're in Fort Lauderdale. It's very, very calm. We're just waiting for our bridge to open. Yay! And the inlet we timed perfectly. It was just as calm as it is out here that you can see in the back.
Nothing's greater than having a calm inlet to go into.
Yes. The current wasn't very strong. No wind, so we are sweating here waiting, but no complaints. This is awesome.
Yeah, we're here.
We are anchored. It feels so good. That was one heck of a shakedown sail.
Yeah, like we literally took the boat out for 2 hours the day before we left on a 1,300 nautical mile sail. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah, so 1,300 nautical miles in just under 10 days. I think we did pretty good.
I think
Crushed it.
Yeah, I think this boat, I love this boat. We made some good miles.
So it was kind of a risky shakedown sail. I mean, the whole process was kind of risky in regards to even purchasing the boat overseas, because we went there, saw the boat for 2 days. Mind you, we spent like, I don't know, 20 plus hours digging through every single nook and cranny of the boat with an amazing broker, amazing previous owner who just gave us free reign of everything on board, which was really nice. Well, I felt comfortable enough with Travis's assessment of the boat, because if you guys have been following us for a while, you know he is very, very meticulous when it comes to making sure our boat, like our previous boat Jibsea, was up to snuff always. And having lived on the boat and cruised full time for almost 4 years now, we kind of know what to look for.
I feel like I have a very good idea of what to look for, and if that's a problem, follow it to find out what else might cause a problem from that problem, and just I just think I can see problems a lot better than me hiring someone. I wonder if he's seen this and just reading a piece of paper going, oh, okay, yeah, like I don't know how to explain it. I just don't think they're as thorough as I would be, because I have more of an invested interest.
Okay, well here, if you're a new boat owner, that's something totally different, which we were prior to buying first Jibsea. We did hire a surveyor that came very highly recommended with a good reputation. And now that we look back on that survey, there are so many things that were missing that would have been important for us to go through after living full time and cruising the world. And we felt so much better this time around just going with what Travis's assessment was. And fortunately for us, it worked out. We're here. Everything looked good when we hauled out.
Yeah.
And yeah, it went well.
Yeah, I guess that would be like the only thing is aluminum boat. Oh, did you get an ultrasound? I'm sure we wouldn't even be able to find anybody in Panama to do that.
In the time frame.
In the time frame that we wanted to. And that's a pretty serious leg from Panama to here in like the height of hurricane season. So we just didn't want to wait any further where it gets even more active.
Okay, well, we made it.
Anyways,
that's what's important.
We made it.
And we want to thank you for joining us on this crazy, crazy passage of ours. It's going to be interesting. We're going to have a lot of things that we need to pick up from here before we continue onwards to get our belongings in Virginia. We're here to pick up a lot of equipment to make Jibsea 2 more well-equipped.
More off the grid, where we can just sit at anchor and enjoy it and be self-sufficient.
What's going to be interesting is that dinghy we showed you in the previous episode, we somehow managed to only have one oar again. Like, we only always ever have one oar. We were given a paddleboard by our broker just in case it's like an emergency way to get to shore, because we don't have an outboard. That'll be next week's episode.
Yeah, stay tuned for that gong show of how to get to shore and get all of our stuff back onto the boat with one oar.
We'll see you next week, guys.
Thank you.
Bye.